Let's talk about alchemy, and specifically one of the most famous alchemists, Nicholas Flamel, and his wife Perenelle. Nicholas Flamel was actually a real person, not just made up for Harry Potter, but that is probably what he is the most famous from. However, he was a real person that lived and was born in Paris, France in the 1300s. He was a scribe and a bookseller, and then after his death, reportedly was also an alchemist. Perenelle Flamel also lived in France around the same time and married Nicholas Flamel. And she also reportedly, but not confirmed, was an alchemist aiding Nicholas in many of his experiments and such. Now, part of the reason that both of them were considered to be alchemists, but not really thought that until well after their death, was because of this book that was reportedly a copy of one of Nicholas Flamel's alchemical works. This book was apparently written in code, and when decoded and transcribed, it was a book about alchemy, and while the author is not 100% confirmed, it is attributed to Nicholas and, by extension, Perenelle. Now, what Nicholas Flamel was most famous for in his time, as well as in our time due to Harry Potter, was creating this thing called the Philosopher's Stone, which again is, while not a real thing, was a real concept in alchemy. Now, alchemy itself was basically a very, very basic and early form of natural sciences such as chemistry and biology. Was concerned with multiple aspects of multiple different sciences, including medicine, again, chemistry, as well as many, many other things. It was also somewhat, as with the time period, magical and mystical, and the main concerns that alchemy had around the time period, or at least the main ones that we know about today, were concerning panacеas, which are a cure-all for everything, every disease, every ailment, as well as transmutation, which is the turning lead into gold or other less valuable metals into gold, as well as finding the elixir of eternal life, or basically discovering the secret of immortality. Now, the Philosopher's Stone was a theorized alchemical concept that basically did all of this. It was thought to be able to turn lead into gold, do the transmutations, as well as producing the elixir of eternal life, therefore making its creator and anyone else that took it or dealt with it immortal. And it is theorized by his peers at the time that Nicholas and also his wife Perenelle found the way to create the Philosopher's Stone and thus unlocked many, many secrets of alchemy. It is largely in part due to the discovery of this book, which was again attributed to but not confirmed to be a copy of a Nicholas Flamel's work. But it did spark this kind of legend that Nicholas Flamel did in fact find the secret to eternal life and thus became immortal, which is a major plot point in books such as Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, as well as one of my favorite book series, The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel. Now, while Perenelle is not herself attributed to finding the Philosopher's Stone, it does say that she was very helpful and instrumental in Nicholas's work, so she also likely benefited from the Philosopher's Stone recovery and discovery, and also herself became immortal along with him. And whether or not she did help him in his discoveries, she is credited as being an alchemist in her own right as well. Now, while alchemy itself has definitely dropped off in popularity in favor of a more specific scientific routes, it was still very beneficial in making modern discoveries, and its knowledge is still used today in some fields. And while Perenelle and Nicholas Flamel may or may not have been actual alchemists. It is almost definite that they did not discover the elixir of eternal life or create the Philosopher's Stone, the magnum opus of alchemy in that time period. They were real people. The house that they lived in Paris, when they lived there, when they did their book selling in Possible Alchemy, is still standing and is still a museum today, and there are also 2 streets in Paris named after them, one of each. The Flamel house is a real location that can be visited, and the whole area in general just definitely has a lot of a very unique history around it.